Douluo Continent, Qian Xunji's younger brother, a specialist in curing love-struck brains. Chapter 41. The fiercer the scolding, the fiercer the scramble. This fire, ignited by a few smart elects, spread across the entire Douluo Continent in just 1 month. Even in Spirit City outside, Spirit Masters gathered. If it weren't for the knowledge that this was the headquarters of Spirit Hall, they would have likely already started protest marches and besieged the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Little brother, many of the branch halls outside have been surrounded by people. Are you still going to wait? Qian Xunji paced back and forth in the Supreme Pontiff Palace with a melancholy look, blisters forming on the corners of his mouth from stress. It's about time. Qian Mochen, clutching the reports submitted by countless Spirit Hall branch halls over this period, stood up and stretched. Brother, get the warehouse ready, just wait to collect the money. You should first calm down that group of spirit masters who are about to go crazy. Qian Xunji rolled his eyes directly at Qian Mochen. Qian Mochen hooked his arm around Qian Xunji's neck, pulled him closer, and smiled slyly. Big brother, you really underestimate me. Tomorrow, I'll have a pure gold bed crafted for you. After saying this, Qian Mochen strode out of the hall and gathered his men. Go act according to the plan. Half a day later, every Spirit Hall branch hall in various cities posted a notice on their bulletin boards. Everyone, His Supreme Pontiff has already heard your voices. For this reason, His Supreme Pontiff has argued for half a month with dozens of elders and venerables, finally securing rights for everyone. From today on, any spirit master who wishes to learn the 3 cultivation techniques can purchase them directly with money. As long as you are on the Douluo Continent, you can learn these techniques at any branch hall. As soon as these words were spoken, spirit masters immediately gathered around. Is what you said true? Of course, at the bottom of the notice, there is the Supreme Pontiff's seal and his personal signature. The spirit master turned to look, and indeed saw the familiar Supreme Pontiff's seal and the Supreme Pontiff's handwriting. At the very bottom of the notice, Spirit Hall had thoughtfully listed the effects and prices of the 3 techniques. Eye of Clarity. Cultivating this technique can increase mental force and greatly enhance eyesight. Purchasing it costs only 100,000 gold coins. Mysterious Crystal Sharp-Edge Hand. Operating this technique imbues the hands with the properties of refined iron, making it easy to crush wood and split stone. It requires 50,000 gold coins. Phantom Shadow Tracing Step. Operating this technique can increase speed by 20% for a short time. It requires 80,000 gold coins. Dissemination of the techniques is prohibited after purchase. If anyone spreads the techniques, Spirit Hall will mobilize all its spirit masters to eliminate them. So expensive. Damn it, I just went to hunt a spirit beast last month. My pockets are emptier than my face. In front of the branch hall, a group of spirit masters looked at the bulletin board, gritting their teeth. Out of about 100 people in the end, only 1 or 2 gritted their teeth and took out their savings from all these years to buy a technique. Most others could only look with envy, jealousy, and hatred at the few lucky ones who entered the branch hall. My lord, I wish to purchase the Eye of Clarity. After purchasing the technique, you must learn it in the branch hall. The technique cannot be taken away. The branch hall spirit master informed them of the new rule. The branch hall spirit master said meaningfully, if you walked out of the hall with the technique, what would those spirit masters waiting outside do? Thank you, my lord, for considering us. I would like to stay in the hall for a few more days. I ask for your leniency. This person looked at the branch hall spirit master with gratitude and, gritting his teeth, took out a small bag of gold coins as a tribute. The branch hall spirit master took the bag, weighed it, and smiled with satisfaction. Rest assured, Spirit Hall is always fair and honest. We guarantee you will get more than your money's worth. Outside the branch hall, some people with ulterior motives kept watch. A few days later, since no one had come out, these people spent money to find out. Spirit Hall had actually kept those lucky ones inside the hall, and they wouldn't give them any manuals for learning the techniques. Damn Spirit Hall, you eat the meat, but won't even let us have a sip of soup. The group of people loitering outside the hall left, cursing. Without guidance and without even the manual, even if they caught those who had learned the techniques, it would be useless to try and reverse engineer them. Who knew where hidden dangers were buried? One might practice and end up driving themselves insane. Such examples had long been passed down by word of mouth among spirit masters. This was also why weak spirit masters with inheritances could roam the Douluo Continent. Every faction's techniques were filled with various little tricks. Even those who had learned the technique might not necessarily be aware of those traps. Watching those lucky ones enter the branch hall, their strength would certainly increase greatly by the time they came out. No, I cannot fall behind. Some of the bolder ones set their sights on the spirit beast forest. As long as they brought out a few more spirit beasts, wouldn't they have the money for the techniques? Those who were less bold had options too. The spirit fighting arenas in various major cities where earning money was easier and the danger was not as great as in the spirit beast forest. In short, when Spirit Hall announced that those 3 techniques for rapidly increasing combat power could be purchased with money, no spirit master could remain calm. A few days later, intelligence from all the branch halls was gathered together. Qian Mochen took a look and discovered an interesting situation. Spirit masters in the extreme north were the ones cursing the fiercest, yet the branch hall with the highest income was also in the extreme north. Just one branch hall over there had accumulated a total income of 10 million gold coins over these days. Qian Mochen's system had also collected a large number of emotion points over these days, and counting what he had accumulated previously, the emotion points in his hands had just exceeded 1 million. Keep it up. You should curse a bit more. The fiercer you curse, the happier he is. In the following days, finding that the feedback of emotion points was low, Qian Mochen was not satisfied and directly spent money to hire a dozen or so hired pens. Your task is to curse Spirit Hall's money-collecting behavior in different ways every day. Do you understand? The dozen or so people opposite Qian Mochen looked at each other. If the person standing in front of them wasn't the young master of the Qian family, they would have already run to the main hall to report him. Seeing that these people didn't understand what he meant, Qian Mochen had to change his approach. Whoever curses the fiercest and whose newspaper sells the best will get the most rewards. A month from now, the one with the best sales gets this entire box of money. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's eyes lit up, especially when that box was opened and the gleaming gold coins filled their entire vision. Everyone's breathing became heavy, and the way they looked at each other had a bit more gunpowder scent. I only care about the final result. Whether you only take a few dozen gold coins or go back holding this entire box of money depends on yourselves. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone immediately lunged for the nearest tables and chairs, picked up brushes and dipped them in ink. There was no need for thought. Driven by money, inspiration kept pouring out of their minds. A few days later, the first batch of newspapers was published. The various complaints and curses about Spirit Hall's inhumanity inside immediately struck a chord with the group of spirit masters who worked hard to earn money. Boss, give me 10 copies. I want 2 copies too. Boss, give me another 100 copies. I want everyone to know about Spirit Hall's conspiracy. Qian Mochen looked at the information scrolling like a screen, his smile becoming increasingly brilliant. Chapter 42. A ray of hope. I am coming. A few days later, when the sales figures for the first week of the newspaper were tallied, Qian Mochen immediately rewarded the top 3 in sales with 100 to 300 gold coins each. This was not the chest that only the final winner could get. Seeing hundreds of gold coins fall into the hands of the 3 lucky ones, the person in 4th place regretted it so much that his intestines were about to break. He was only a few dozen copies away from 3rd place, and he had missed out on 100 gold coins just like that. Next week I will tally it again, and only the top 3 will receive rewards. I will select the top 3 for the next few weeks so everyone has a chance. After Qian Mochen announced the rules, the aura of everyone in the room burst out, colliding with each other without giving an inch, and even the air was squeezed out by such dense collisions. This time I must take back the 1st place that belongs to me, just based on your 4th place. HMPH, this time I shall suppress all enemies. If heaven did not create me, Wang Wu, the path of literature would be like an eternal dark night. At the pinnacle of literature, looking down on the world, only with me Jicheng is there a... Qian Mochen seemed to see the phantom images of countless great emperors and sages fighting in this world. He had not expected the group of ghostwriters he had found to have such talent. Can't afford to provoke them, can't afford to provoke them. The people here, when they open their mouths, have backgrounds bigger than the last. Qian Mochen was worried that if they started fighting later, he would be slapped away by the shockwaves just like a mosquito, so he quietly slipped out. In the following days, Qian Mochen continued to be a hands-off manager. He only needed to control the general direction of the Spirit Hall reforms, and for the details, he grabbed his big brother Qian Xunji to act as forced labor. Qian Xunji was dragged out of his comfort zone, and the resentment on him almost caused the weather in the Douluo Continent to change. Qian Mochen pretended to be blind and even came up with a righteous excuse. Big brother, Donger has been in seclusion until now and hasn't come out, so I can only rely on you. Big brother, I just refined a type of pill that can restore energy. However, seeing how full of vigor you are, you probably don't need it, so I might as well put it in the merit hall. When Qian Xunji heard this, he hurriedly grabbed Qian Mochen and coughed a few times with a guilty conscience. Little brother, what are you saying? You are in trouble. How can your big brother not help you? Didn't you just say that you were too tired, big brother? Alas, I meant that you, Mochen, are too tired, and as your big brother, I truly feel for you. Haha, then thank you, big brother. No trouble at all, no trouble at all. Qian Xunji touched the jade bottle he had just obtained in his arms, and his voice became a bit more sincere. Tonight he would restore his former glory and let Yuer and the others know how powerful he was. Tonight I will fight 10 of them. After dealing with his big brother, this natural workhorse, Qian Mochen went to inspect outside the place where Bibi Dong was in seclusion. The aura inside was peaceful, and the evil aura had already been purified by more than half. According to this progress, Bibi Dong should be able to come out of seclusion in 2 months. After coming out of seclusion this time, her two spirits would no longer be tainted with evil attributes. According to Qian Mochen's deduction, she would be able to avoid that crazy Rakshasa god by then. Qian Mochen, having read the original work, felt that if Bibi Dong had not been tricked by the so-called god position trials of the Rakshasa god, which ultimately led to her becoming a psychopath, she would never have ruined the great advantage of the spirit hall in one fell swoop. Look at the god position trials of Tang San and Qian Renxue. They give away cultivation, spirit rings, and spirit bones. They give whatever they have. Bibi Dong's god position trial actually required sealing her cultivation and constantly stimulating her with that night in the secret room. Moreover, after the god position trial ended, she only possessed level 100 cultivation and nothing else. In the original work, Qian Mochen felt that Bibi Dong was just an experience pack arranged by the Asura god for his successor, a major boss to clear the level. Otherwise, would a divinity who could survive in the hands of the Asura god not give good things to his own successor, but instead be afraid that the successor was not crazy enough, and stimulate her every day? It is said that divinity inheritances are rare in the Douluo Continent, but as soon as Tang Sen obtained the Asura god position, lower-level gods immediately came to offer favors, and every member of the Shrek 7 devils obtained a god position. It can be seen that even in that god realm, the strong take all. Thinking of this, Qian Mochen began to miss his good brother, Yu Xiaogang, again. It had been several months, yet Yu Xiaogang had not cheered up at all and had been drowning his sorrows in Norton City. Yu Xiaogang, oh Yu Xiaogang, cheer up for your happiness. I specifically helped you find your true love, Scar. Scar has been waiting for his rose. Since Yu Xiaogang wouldn't cheer up, how could Qian Mochen be embarrassed to disturb his good brother's seclusion? Qian Mochen was so bored that he spent 10 hours a day cultivating. And finally, someone from outside brought good news. Highness, the two brothers of the Clear Sky sect, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao, have come out of the mountain to train today. Your Highness, a burst of blue halo erupted in the forest yesterday and the vitality of all the blue-silver grass in the forest surged. Good, good. Seeing these two messages, Qian Mochen was instantly wide awake. He had finally waited for Yin to take human form. This time, Tang God King, you should change to a different mother. Qian Mochen immediately replied, sending more people to monitor the blue-silver forest area. If they discovered a gentle woman with blue long hair and stunning beauty, they were to monitor her route immediately. Incidentally, he also had people create trouble for the brothers Tang Xiao and Tang Hao who had come down the mountain, leading them to other places. After telling his father and big brother and leaving a letter outside Donger's secret room, Qian Mochen found an eagle-type spirit beast from the back mountain, jumped directly onto the back of the flying eagle and headed south all the way. 5 days later, Qian Mochen met up with his subordinates. Highness, 3 days ago, a blue-haired woman entered the village ahead and temporarily settled in a villager's home. Our people later went into the blue-silver forest to inspect it, and there was a place of 1,000 square meters where the ground cracked and many new blue-silver grass had grown. Around that location there are several plant-type spirit beasts over 50,000 years old, so we did not dare to go deeper to investigate. Matter, you have done very well. The mission is over, you may all go back. Qian Mochen did not need to look. He just spread his perception over, and the village 1,000 meters away was completely included in his perception. One of the abnormal auras of the spirit beast was like a blazing bonfire in the dark night, dazzling and eye-catching. It must be that Yin had not been in human form for long at this time, and she had no treasures on her to conceal her aura. Thinking of Yin's tragic fate in the original work, being schemed against by Tang Hao to sacrifice her cultivation to him, and in order to prevent Yin from being reborn, Tang Hao deliberately planted her in a dark cave without seeing the light of day, and the child he protected with his life was possessed by Tang San. In this life he had come, and he would definitely not let Yin experience these tragic fates again. As for Tang San's blue-silver grass spirit, he would let him help Tang Hao arrange one when the time came. Clear sky hammers are not easy to find in this world, but women with blue-silver grass spirits are everywhere. He would guarantee that Tang Hao had a happy night. Qian Mochen thought through his plan and walked into the village. Chapter 43, a surprise, more like a shock. Yin. Someone has been attacked by a spirit beast, come and help quickly. The village chief's anxious voice rang out from outside the house. Hearing that someone was injured, Yin's expression tightened and she rushed out, immediately catching sight of Qian Mochen being supported by the village chief. A handsome face suddenly struck Yin's eyes and her gaze became fixed on Qian Mochen's face. This was the first handsome human she had seen since coming out. Yin. The village chief's calls quickly brought Yin back to her senses. A hint of embarrassed crimson flashed across her face as she hurriedly opened the door, letting the village chief help the young man inside. Yin glanced at Qian Mochen. His face had turned pale from excessive blood loss. There were 3 wounds on his chest that were at least an inch deep, and his outer garment was soaked in blood. Village chief, please help me take off his outer garment. These wounds are too deep. Relying on my spirit ability alone won't work. I'm going to get some medicine. Yin rushed back into the room and soon returned with several bottles. She looked at the wounds on Qian Mochen's chest and poured all the hemostatic medicine from the bottles. The blood instantly soaked the powder and the bleeding was temporarily staunched. Yin immediately seized the time, and 6 spirit rings lit up behind her simultaneously. A wave of fresh vitality quickly spread to Qian Mochen's wounds. The surface of the hideous wounds began to heal, and a moment later 3 dark red scars remained on Qian Mochen's chest. Wiping the thin sweat from her forehead, Yin looked at Qian Mochen, whose breathing had stabilized, and breathed a sigh of relief. Village chief, his injuries are temporarily stabilized. He just needs to take some medicine later and rest for half a month. After speaking, Yin didn't hear the village chief answer. She looked up, but there was no sign of the village chief anywhere. This man was unconscious and had just suffered serious injuries. After hesitating for a moment, Yin couldn't bear to leave him in the courtyard. Yin squatted down, and just as she placed her hands on Qian Mochen's shoulders, the unconscious man suddenly opened his eyes. Their gazes met, and at that moment Yin was stunned. Wasn't he unconscious? How did he suddenly wake up? It was as if a sky full of stars was embedded in this person's eyes. They were quite beautiful. Qian Mochen hadn't expected that even after he opened his eyes, Yin still hadn't reacted at all, staring blankly into his eyes in a daze. Yin, you are still too naive. You don't know the dangers of the human world. Then let me teach you your first lesson. Qian Mochen's hand quietly landed on Yin's wrist. Just as Yin was about to speak, what Qian Mochen said next made her feel as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Found you 100,000-year blue-silver emperor. Yin's pupils constricted slightly, and 6 spirit rings lit up behind her simultaneously. Countless blue-silver grass under her control turned into arm-thick vines, quickly binding Qian Mochen, leaving only a gap for his head. What are you talking about? Yin quietly retreated, still holding onto a glimmer of hope. Oh, is it really me talking nonsense? Isn't it you, Yin, who is deceiving yourself? Qian Mochen felt the strength of the vines on his body. It was worthy of being the top-tier plant-type spirit, the blue-silver emperor. If it had been an ordinary spirit Douluo, they would indeed have been trapped. And Yin was actually so merciful to an enemy, just trapping him and doing nothing else. This was not good. Wouldn't she suffer losses in the future? One after another, spirit rings appeared behind Qian Mochen, and his aura surged continuously. With just a slight movement, the seemingly tough blue-silver emperor vines split into countless pieces and slid off his body. Qian Mochen's 7th spirit ring was black with a hint of red, the 8th was mostly red, and the 9th spirit ring was already bright red. Watching the spirit rings rising one after another behind Qian Mochen, despair began to spread quietly in Yin's heart. She didn't expect that she had only just left the spirit beast forest, and she had actually run into the hands of a titled Douluo. It wasn't that she didn't want to escape, but Qian Mochen's aura had now completely locked onto her. Yin didn't even have the ability to move a finger right now. Qian Mochen's gaze was indifferent, and his sharp aura fell upon Yin. Her shoulders sank, and the stone tiles under her feet immediately cracked. 100,000-year blue-silver emperor, you transformed into a human and secretly infiltrated our human territory. What is your conspiracy? I have no conspiracy. I just knew that I couldn't pass the next stage of the spirit beast tribulation, so I chose to transform into a human form to seek a chance for myself. Is that so? The villagers here actually dared to take you in, I think. Before Qian Mochen could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Yin's anxious voice. Don't make things difficult for them. The village chief and the aunties are all innocent. I beg you to spare them. As long as you don't hurt them, I am willing to go with you. Very well. Qian Mochen nodded slowly and retracted the spirit rings behind him. From this day on, you are my maid. Remember your status. Yin nodded, her face ashen. She knew that falling into the hands of a titled Douluo, the best outcome was to become a captive spirit beast, waiting for the right time to become a spirit ring on a human. The future she had described to the blue-silver kings when she left the blue-silver forest could no longer be realized. At least she had protected the villagers of this village. Qian Mochen walked to Yin's side, lifted her chin with his finger and scrutinized her for a moment. Is your original name Yin? Yin nodded. Remember my name, Qian Mochen. From now on, just address me as your highness. Maid, go and say goodbye to the village chief and the others. It's time for us to leave. A trace of surprise flashed in Yin's dull eyes, and she asked cautiously, is that really okay? If you don't want to, I can change my mind immediately. I'm willing. Fearing that Qian Mochen would change his mind, Yin lifted her skirt and ran out of the courtyard in a few steps. Qian Mochen's voice chased after her from behind. With your current strength, don't even think about running. If you dare to run, I will destroy the village immediately. Yin shook her head repeatedly, muttering, I won't. I'm just going to say goodbye to the village chief and the aunties, and I'll be back soon. Yin truly had no other thoughts. As a blue-silver emperor who had transformed into a human to recultivate, she was very clear about the strength of a titled Douluo. Not to mention that she was only a spirit emperor now. Even if her cultivation reached the spirit Douluo level, if she encountered a titled Douluo, she could only resign herself to her fate. Why hadn't she stayed in the blue-silver forest for another half a year? If she had waited until she was a spirit saint before coming to stay in the village, even if Qian Mochen stood in front of her, he wouldn't have been able to see a single flaw. Yin made up an excuse to the village chief, thanking them for their care over these days. Before leaving, she quietly placed her money pouch on the pile of firewood at the village chief's house. "Highness, I would like to pack my luggage." After returning, seeing that Qian Mochen did not object, Yin slipped into the room and looked at the things inside. The doll by the bed, the wooden comb on the table. These were all things she had carved by hand after she moved in. It was a pity that she would never see them again. Leaving these trinkets in the room, Yin locked the door and walked to Qian Mochen's side, looking resigned. "Maid, do you intend to leave just like that?" Chapter 44. "This His Highness is different." Yin tilted her head, a few question marks appearing above it. Those watery eyes clearly seemed to be saying, "Didn't you, His Highness, want to leave? Why aren't you leaving anymore?" Qian Mochen pointed at the ground. "Do you know how far it is from the village to the nearest town?" Yin nodded. "About 10 kilometers. If we walk fast, we'll arrive in an hour." She spoke with such matter-of-factness, and those expressive eyes seemed to be asking if Qian Mochen had some sort of problem, asking about things he already knew. "As a maid, your primary duty is to ensure my comfort in eating, clothing, living, and traveling. Watch closely, I will only teach you this once." Qian Mochen took Yin outside the village, pulled out a whistle and blew it. A moment later, a giant eagle with a wingspan of over 30 meters descended from the sky. Upon seeing Qian Mochen, the giant eagle consciously lay down to make it easy for its master to sit on it. Qian Mochen cast a glance at the giant eagle. "See, if you can find a mount, you arrange a mount. When I travel, what I want is comfort." Yin frowned and subtly rolled her eyes. "But I don't have any money." "Take this." Qian Mochen tossed a storage pouch to Yin. "There are 1,000 gold coins inside. Tell me if it's not enough." This is the first time I've seen a maid ask her master for money. Yin didn't dare to talk back, simply turning away to show her displeasure. "Maid, get on, let's go." Yin then turned around and stepped onto the eagle's back. Before she could sit down, the giant eagle beneath her flapped its wings violently. Yin slipped, let out an "ah," and fell directly into Qian Mochen's arms. The scent of a strange man and the rising temperature around her made Yin not dare to open her eyes, though her mouth remained stubborn. "Quick, let me go, quickly." Qian Mochen gave an "oh," a hint of mischief flashing in his eyes. He shook his hands and Yin rolled out of his arms, crashing onto the eagle's back. Just as Yin propped herself up on the eagle's back to stand, the giant eagle suddenly accelerated upwards. Yin's body lunged forward with the inertia, her head slamming into a chest as hard as stone. "What, can't bear to leave my embrace?" Yin snorted, no longer feeling shy, and sat back down by pushing off Qian Mochen's chest. To prevent herself from making a fool of herself again, Yin immediately summoned a few vines to secure a seat for herself. "Oops, I forgot one thing." Qian Mochen sighed deliberately, noticing that Yin had turned slightly, her ears perked up. He continued, "That town ahead seems to have a spirit Douluo stationed there. I'm afraid someone might get their true identity recognized again later." Yin quietly tightened her grip on her skirt, hesitating whether to compromise with this detestable man or to toughen it out. In the end, she sighed deeply. Thinking that they weren't far from the village, she turned around, gazing at Qian Mochen with blinking eyes, and spoke in the gentlest tone. "Highness, can you help me conceal the aura on my body? Is this how you test His Highness?" Qian Mochen's eyes flickered as he rubbed his chin and thought, "How about this? Starting today, you wash my clothes for 7 days and I will help you fix your flaw. How about it?" "Fine." As soon as Yin agreed, Qian Mochen immediately tossed an item from his storage ring. "Keep it close to you." Yin carefully caught the flower that flew towards her. When she saw what the flower looked like, a flash of surprise crossed her eyes. "This is delicate silk chrysanthemum. The immortal spiritual energy within it can neutralize the energy fluctuations unique to a spirit beast. Once you reach the level of spirit saint, you won't need it anymore." Qian Mochen's tone was as if he were giving Yin something worthless. Yin carefully tucked the delicate silk chrysanthemum close to her body, a wisp of her unique spirit power carefully nourishing this immortal spirit herb. Although she hadn't had much contact with humans, she knew that an immortal item like the delicate silk chrysanthemum couldn't just be brought out casually. Moreover, since Qian Mochen could name this immortal item, he naturally knew its effects. To just casually give her an immortal item that even a titled Douluo would be moved by, without any restrictions at all, Yin slowly came to her senses. What kind of injury could cause a titled Douluo to lose blood and fall into a coma, yet wake up suddenly right after she finished treating him? "You came specifically to capture me, didn't you?" Yin's gaze became sharper. She straightened her back and leaned forward, as if trying to see through Qian Mochen's disguise. Qian Mochen nodded lightly and praised, "Not bad, you aren't too stupid. I thought you would have realized it the moment I captured you." The tips of Yin's ears turned red. Suppressing a hint of irritation in her heart, she continued to ask, "When did you discover me?" "The moment you walked out of the forest, my people had their eyes on you." "How is that possible? I studied human habits very seriously for a long time. Even the village chief and the aunties didn't spot any flaws." Yin felt a bit indignant. If she had been discovered in the last few days, she would have accepted it. But since Qian Mochen said she was discovered the moment she left the forest, didn't that mean her disguise wasn't effective at all? Qian Mochen just smiled. Of course, he wouldn't tell Yin that he had sent people to find places with large numbers of blue-silver grass spirit beasts half a year ago. After finding one, he had sent people to guard the outside of the blue-silver forest every day, just waiting for the day Yin emerged. Seeing that Qian Mochen wouldn't answer, Yin crossed her arms, snorted, and turned back around without saying another word. After a while, a reluctant thank you drifted over from Yin's position. "No need to thank me. I don't want my maid to cause me unnecessary trouble. Make sure to wash the clothes properly these next few days." Yin gave a soft hum, the words carried away by the wind as soon as they were spoken. The giant eagle soon delivered Qian Mochen and his party to the Spirit Hall branch hall in the town. Outside the branch hall, a carriage had already been prepared according to Qian Mochen's preferences. Qian Mochen examined the carriage. It had been specially fitted with shock-absorbing devices and lined with a layer of comfortable cushions. Giving the branch hall master an approving look, he instructed the branch hall master to send a message to the people outside that they could withdraw. Since he had already found Yin, there was no need to delay things with the two brothers Tang Xiao and Tang Hao. Qian Mochen really treated Yin as a maid, ordering her to serve tea and water and feed him snacks and fruits. In any case, it boiled down to one thing: if he could use his words, he would never lift a finger. Next day, all the food Qian Mochen needed was prepared. Yin doubled as the coachman, sitting on the edge of the carriage and urging the horses to get on the road. "Your Highness, where are we going?" "We are going to a place where many of your companions are." Qian Mochen kept her in suspense. No matter how Yin asked, he only had one answer: "The time is not yet right." Just as Yin and Qian Mochen were chatting and laughing on their way, in a town hundreds of miles away, Tang Hao suddenly clutched his chest, his expression turning somewhat ugly. "Brother Hao, what's wrong?" Tang Xiao noticed his younger brother's expression and asked urgently. Tang Hao frowned, his eyes filled with confusion. "Big brother, I suddenly felt a sense of panic just now, as if something important has left me." Chapter 45. The Forbidden Zone of Life. Lake Tang Xiao forcibly dragged Tang Hao to find a healing-type spirit master for an examination, and the conclusion was that Tang Hao was in excellent health. Tang Hao also stated that he was fine now, and that the inexplicable panic he had felt earlier seemed to be an illusion. After confirming several times, the brothers Tang Xiao and Tang Hao proceeded with their plan to travel to the next town. Little did they know, they had just brushed past the carriage of Qian Mochen, with the two parties being only 2 kilometers apart at their closest. The carriage of Qian Mochen and Yin traveled towards the center of the Douluo Continent, passing through bustling towns until the paved stone roads beneath them turned into gravel paths. "Your Highness, where exactly are we going?" The blue-silver grass in the surrounding meadows signaled to Yin that the further they went, the heavier the aura of spirit beasts became. She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Her strength had not yet recovered, so being spotted by a spirit beast would be like serving herself up on a platter. And she was a dish that could drop such treasures as a 100,000-year spirit ring and a 100,000-year spirit bone. The time has come. Qian Mochen lifted the carriage curtain and gazed at the endless sea of forest ahead. "Leave the carriage up ahead for now. The place we are going to is called the Stardew Great Forest." Yin let out an "oh" and curiously asked, "Is there some kind of treasure inside the Stardew Great Forest?" Yin was no longer the naive novice she had once been. Over the past half-month, she had read frequently and had long since realized the identity of Qian Mochen, the man who had captured her. The holy son of the Spirit Hall, an existence second only to one and above all others. Qian Mochen already possessed 9 spirit rings, so it was impossible he had come out to hunt spirit beasts. The treasures he would covet must be at least at the level of a 100,000-year spirit beast. "To visit a friend I have yet to meet, and while I'm at it, see if I can snag some benefits for you." Qian Mochen paused, looking at Yin with disdain. "My maid has only just broken through to become a spirit saint. Taking someone with such cultivation out with me would make me lose face." "HMPH, then don't take me. It would be much better if you just let me stay in the village." Having long since figured out the temperament of Qian Mochen, Yin was no longer afraid of him and retorted directly. "Oh, my maid has grown quite bold." Qian Xunji looked at Yin in surprise and said indifferently, "If you have the ability, don't crawl into my tent tonight." Yin snorted, gritting her teeth as she stomped hard on the pebbles beneath her feet, imagining them to be Qian Mochen as she crushed them. The Stardew Great Forest was the most dangerous place on the Douluo Continent over the years. Even titled Douluo had met their end there. As a mere spirit saint who had just broken through, she didn't dare to act tough. Forget the saying that spirit beasts don't eat other spirit beasts. Having transformed into a human, she was seen by many spirit beasts as a traitor to their kind, and they would love nothing more than to eliminate her. The only thing that gave her any sense of security was this Qian Mochen, who made her teeth itch with frustration. Yin silently shouldered the tent and followed behind Qian Mochen. To save trouble, Qian Mochen released his aura as a peak Douluo, leading Yin directly toward the center of the Stardew Great Forest. Along the way, the spirit beasts were terrified by his aura and none dared to challenge him. In the evening they found a cave. Yin silently set up the tent, took out pots and bowls and began to cook. Qian Mochen deliberately remained silent, quietly enjoying the meal. As the night deepened, the forest outside the cave began to come alive. Countless spirit beasts emerged from their lairs to begin their nightly hunt. Yin summoned the blue-silver emperor in her palm, its two leaves swaying gently. At that moment, countless blue-silver grass at the bottom of the food chain outside the cave came to life, quickly transmitting information from the surroundings to their emperor. Sensing that many spirit beasts over 50,000 years old were prowling in the darkness outside the cave, Yin looked at Qian Mochen with a pitiful expression. "Your Highness Tilda, please, Your Highness Tilda." Yin pressed her hands together. Her mature voice combined with her coquettish behavior caused Qian Mochen to abandon his principles once again. "Come in. My tent is large, it can fit 2 people. "Thank you, Your Highness." Yin quickly scrambled into the tent and lay down in the innermost spot. Feeling the soft blanket beneath her, her body and mind relaxed and she fell asleep shortly after. Qian Mochen gazed at her sleeping face for a moment, then couldn't resist reaching out to pinch her nose. This caused Yin to instinctively frown, slap his hand away with a soft smack, turn her head and continue sleeping. Qian Mochen shifted to the side, lay down and closed his eyes. A trace of his aura spread out from the cave. Sensing that terrifying aura which felt like the might of the heavens, no predator dared to approach the vicinity of the cave. In the morning, Yin woke up to find that she had rolled to the edge of the tent, her arms still tightly clutching Qian Mochen's shoulders. A blush flitted across Yin's face. She gently and carefully unfastened Qian Mochen's arm from around her, her eyes fixed on him, fearful that any sudden movement would wake him. Fortunately, she managed to slip out of the tent silently and began preparing breakfast. Yin did not notice that as she exited the tent, Qian Mochen, who had been sleeping behind her, slowly opened his eyes. After Qian Mochen woke up, the two continued on their journey. As they ventured deeper into the center of the Stardew Great Forest, the density of spirit beasts over 50,000 years old increased. Sensing the dozens of undisguised malicious intents surrounding them, Yin subconsciously leaned closer to Qian Mochen. "What's wrong, my little maid? Are you afraid?" "I am not." Qian Mochen chuckled and swept his gaze around. Sensing several spirit beasts over 50,000 years old slowly beginning to surround him, he directly summoned his spirit. A 20-meter-tall holy seraphim emitting a faint glow stood silently behind Qian Mochen. "Hold on tight, if you fall later I won't come back to catch you." Before Yin could react, she felt a tightening around her waist and was pulled into the arms of Qian Mochen. Immediately after, she felt an irresistible force forcibly lift her into the air and the arm around her waist began to loosen. Instinctively, Yin immediately clung to the nearest support. When she finally came to her senses, she realized her posture. She was pressed tightly against Qian Mochen, wishing she could melt into the body of this detestable highness. The sound of his strong heartbeat grew louder and louder in her ear. Just as Yin tried to shift slightly away, the wings of the spirit behind Qian Mochen accelerated and he wrapped one arm around Yin's waist, pulling her closer. "Not taking advantage of you. If you don't believe me, look." Qian Mochen adjusted his direction in the air so that Yin could see the scene behind him. A spider web over 10 meters in diameter instantly engulfed the spot where Qian Mochen had been just a moment before. Immediately after, a tree trunk tens of meters high swept across from the ground. Qian Mochen shot upward, barely avoiding the sweep of the trunk. The intense wind pressure caused Yin's heart to race, and her hands instinctively gripped Qian Mochen's clothes. A smile curled at the corner of Qian Mochen's mouth as he looked back at the few spirit beasts that had attacked. His task of teasing his little maid for the day was complete, so he would spare these few spirit beasts. As Qian Mochen flew over a river, the spirit beasts that had been in hot pursuit suddenly stopped in their tracks, as if the area ahead were an impassable abyss. Chapter 46. Your brother is disobedient, let me teach him a lesson. The whistling wind by her ears gradually faded. Yin poked her head out to look back. The spirit beasts chasing them had disappeared at some point. Where did those spirit beasts go? They stopped chasing. They probably reached the territory of some top-tier spirit beast and didn't have the guts to cross over. HMPH, I don't believe you. Qian Mochen laughed. Where is the most basic trust between people? Yin, I'm not pulling your leg this time. Continuing to fly with Yin for a while longer, the two landed on a soft, verdant meadow filled with vitality. Feeling the joy transmitted to her by the surrounding blue-silver grass, a smile naturally appeared on Yin's face. Vitality here is so abundant, should we stay here for a while longer? Yin looked at Qian Mochen with a beaming smile. She felt that she didn't even need to cultivate here, the abundant vitality around her would spontaneously push her spirit power to rise continuously. Qian Xunji glanced at Yin, his smile somewhat inscrutable. Didn't I say we needed to ask for the opinion of the master of this place? HMPH, you're lying again. Before the word you could even leave her lips, a snort like muffled thunder rang out above Yin's head. Humans, leave my territory immediately. You are not welcome here. Yin turned her head stiffly and saw a giant ape that was 15 meters tall even while sitting on the ground, as robust as a small mountain. A hint of impatience flickered in the giant ape's lantern-sized eyes. What kind of spirit beast is that? When this giant ape appeared, the surrounding blue-silver grass constantly transmitted feelings of danger to their empress. In front of this giant ape, the blue-silver grass believed that even their empress would not be able to block the giant ape's attack. That is the Titan giant ape, a fierce beast of the earth possessing the bloodline of the ancient Titans. It has the same 100,000-year cultivation as you, but one of it could fight 5 of you. Don't believe it? Though Yin said she didn't believe it, she nimbly hid behind Qian Mochen. Looking at that massive Titan giant ape, then looking at Qian Mochen's thin arms, Yin hesitated for a moment before suggesting in his ear, should we run away first? Whatever you're looking for, we can come back when this Titan giant ape isn't here. Don't worry, this little monkey can't beat me. Qian Mochen's gaze passed over the Titan giant ape and looked toward a calm like 100 meters away. That was Life Lake, and it was also the target he was looking for this time. At this point in time, the Titan giant ape was the only spirit beast by the lake, and Xiao Wu and her mother were nowhere to be seen. Perhaps Xiao Wu's mother's territory was not here. The original story said that Xiao Wu lived together with Ming, the Titan giant ape, presumably after Xiao Wu's mother was hunted by Bibi Dong. Humans, leave my territory immediately. Seeing that the black-haired human in front of it was actually ignoring it, the Titan giant ape slammed its fist into the ground with a bang. The earth trembled and a large pit several meters in diameter appeared on the ground. Titan giant ape, call out the sky azure bull python. The one I want to see is the one at the bottom of the lake. Human, you actually ignored my warning. The Titan giant ape's eyes flashed with rage and it let out a roar. The muscles on its arms swelled several times over and it smashed down toward Qian Mochen like a mountain, regardless of where Qian Mochen learned the secret beneath Life Lake based on this alone. The Titan giant ape would never let this human leave here alive. The fifth spirit ring behind Qian Mochen quietly flashed, and his figure suddenly appeared from the ground onto the shoulder of the Titan giant ape. Titan giant ape, you're too noisy, be quiet. Seeing that a bug-like human dared to step on its shoulder, the Titan giant ape roared, and its mountain-sized palm pressed down toward Qian Mochen with infinite wind pressure. A pair of wings with 100-meter wingspan suddenly appeared behind Qian Mochen. With a casual flap of the wings, he easily blocked the Titan giant ape's furious strike. At the same time, he stomped his feet heavily. The Titan giant ape let out a terrified whimper as it felt a terrifying force that it could not resist descend along its shoulder. The Titan giant ape's body sank uncontrollably, its 2 thick hind legs bending unwillingly, and 2 deep pits 20 meters in diameter were smashed into the ground. Roar. The Titan giant ape roared unwillingly. Power from the earth continuously surged into its body, and its size surged dozens of times in the span of a breath. Human die with eyes blood red, the Titan giant ape instantly locked onto the little bug on its shoulder, and its gravity domain instantly enveloped Qian Mochen. The dozens-fold gravity made him feel as if he were trapped in a quagmire, making it difficult to even move a finger. Taking advantage of the opportunity while Qian Mochen could not escape, the sky-supporting giant palm crashed down. The gale stirred up by the palm wind caused trees within 100 meters to topple and the earth to crack. Sai, I already said I wasn't here to find you, why won't you listen? Facing such a terrifying strike, Qian Mochen felt no panic in his heart. Sighing, his 7th spirit ring suddenly lit up. A gentle yet fierce light instantly illuminated the center of Life Lake, as if the scorching sun in the sky had fallen down. Such a massive phenomenon even woke up the existence in the depths of Life Lake. The sky azure bull python beneath the lake immediately opened its room-sized pupils, and the moment it saw the phenomenon in the sky, it immediately accelerated and rushed out. Such a strong enemy, Ming could not stop him, and there would even be a danger to his life in the light. A sacred golden palm suddenly reached out, 5 fingers splayed and easily wrapped around the Titan giant ape's fist. The terrifying force capable of overturning the earth landed on that palm bearing a sacred aura, yet it did not stir up even a ripple. The power of the Titan giant ape's full force strike was completely neutralized by the owner of the palm. The Titan giant ape subconsciously followed that golden palm upward, and it wasn't until it tilted its head back to the maximum limit that it saw the full face of the existence that had appeared before it. The light dissipated, revealing the majestic appearance of an angel within. Its size alone was 500 meters tall. Even with the Titan giant ape using its Titan true body and its size surging dozens of times, it seemed like a baby that hadn't been weaned in front of this angel. The angel, or rather Qian Mochen, looked down at the Titan giant ape, and his casually spoken words echoed across the entire sky. "Little monkey, you are too rowdy. You had better go take a nap first." After speaking, Qian Mochen's hand moved. As if grabbing a sandbag, he lifted the Titan giant ape and smashed it toward the surrounding mountain peaks. The Titan giant ape let out bursts of angry roars in the air. However, no matter how it struggled, it could not break free from the large hand gripping its foot, and could only watch helplessly as the mountain peaks continuously magnified before its eyes. Finally, after testing the hardness of 3 mountain peaks with its head, the Titan giant ape passed out smoothly. At this moment, the sky azure bull python, which had rushed all the way from the bottom of the lake, finally broke through the surface of the water. Hearing the commotion, Qian Mochen looked over and threw the unconscious Titan giant ape to the sky azure bull python. "Your brother is too noisy, so I let him take a nap." Chapter 47. The stubborn spirit beast. The sky azure bull python caught the Titan giant ape, inspected his brother's condition, and felt relieved. Just as the terrifyingly large avatar of the martial soul before him had said, the Titan giant ape had merely fainted. As for the hundreds of broken bones, a single sleep would heal them. The sky azure bull python carefully placed the Titan giant ape on the other side of the lake and looked vigilantly at Qian Mochen, who had withdrawn his avatar of the martial soul. "What exactly are you trying to do?" "I want to see the one at the bottom of the lake. Please step aside." As soon as these words were spoken, the expression of the sky azure bull python changed instantly, and its aura immediately locked onto Qian Mochen. "Absolutely impossible. Sir, please leave immediately." "Sai, why is it so difficult to communicate with you all?" Qian Mochen began to roll up his sleeves. Since reason did not work, he would have to let his fists do the talking. Fortunately, he knew a thing or two about hand-to-hand combat. The sky azure bull python let out a hiss. Recalling the terrifying avatar of the martial soul he had just seen, it unleashed its ultimate move as soon as it made a move. Its unique innate domain, the slowing domain, instantly enveloped Qian Mochen. At the same time, the sky azure bull python slammed its tail into the life lake. Hundreds of tons of lake water exploded instantly, and countless mists gathered into clouds above its head. The sky azure bull python gave a low roar and a thunderbolt cracked, instantly striking Qian Mochen. Qian Mochen felt the pressure on his body. This slowing domain was indeed more useful than that of the Titan giant ape. It felt as if he were coated in a layer of sticky substance, making his movements feel somewhat sluggish. Watching the lightning falling from above, Qian Mochen opened his palm, and a longsword condensed from holy flames quickly appeared. He grasped the hilt and slashed out. 100-meter-tall flame sword aura actively met the falling lightning. The moment the flames and the thunderbolt collided, the entire world seemed to lose its sound. Fire and thunder constantly merged and devoured each other, and the sky was shrouded in a sky full of fire, rain, and lightning. As the commotion from the battle between the sky azure bull python and Qian Mochen spread, countless spirit beasts abandoned their nests and fled outwards frantically. "I won't waste any more time with you." Qian Mochen immediately summoned his avatar of the martial soul, slapped the sky azure bull python's attack and the beast itself 1,000 meters away, and stepped 1 foot into the life lake. The moment Qian Mochen broke the tranquility of the life lake, a pair of pupils hundreds of meters wide suddenly opened at the bottom of the lake. "Wake up, everyone, a human has come!" An angry dragon roar exploded at the bottom of the lake. From the palace at the bottom of the lake, a gentle woman dressed in green walked out. She was Bai Jai, one of the 4 great fierce beasts. "Ai Tian, where are the 2 little ones outside? To think they actually let someone get close to here. HMPH, I think those 2 little ones are just bewitched by that rabbit neglecting their duties. I'll go swallow them and replace them with some other beast to guard the." 2-meter-tall Xingjun crashed through the palace hall and walked out. Finally, the last palace gate was pushed open, and a slender woman in black walked out from within. "Lord Daitian, let Zai Jai handle the enemy. This time I will handle it personally. You all just need to protect the place where the Lord sleeps." In the darkness, a 1,000-meter-long black dragon poked its head out, its murderous gaze locking onto the human who had entered the water. Even if he is a vassal of the angel god, so what? He, Daitian, had even killed true divinities under the Lord's command in the past. Domain, black sun, purple moon. Massive darkness rose rapidly, swallowing all light wherever it passed, as if it were a dead, silent night. Qian Mochen looked at the incoming darkness and recognized the spirit beast that had attacked, the Black Dragon King Daitian, the head of the 10 great fierce beasts and also the most loyal guardian beside the Silver Dragon King Guyuina. "Welcome." Qian Mochen did not dodge or evade, he even voluntarily entered Daitian's domain. He wanted to use Daitian to see where his limits were. The darkness instantly engulfed Qian Mochen. Even the light on the flame sword in his hand was suppressed by the extreme darkness surrounding it. Being in Daitian's black sun purple moon domain, Qian Mochen felt his spirit power and vitality slowly draining away, though the speed was very slow. To use an analogy, Qian Mochen's power was equivalent to a lake. Now, a fist-sized hole had opened at the bottom of the lake. If he didn't do anything about it, it would take decades for the water to drain completely. Pressure makes things interesting. 12 wings spread out behind Qian Mochen, and dots of holy flames ignited on his body. Using the true, complete form of the holy seraphim spirit, Qian Mochen forcibly held open a small space of light within Dai Tian's domain. By the light of the avatar of the martial soul, Qian Mochen clearly saw the dragon claw that Dai Tian's true form had grasped with. The pitch-black dragon claw was wrapped in the power of nirvana-like darkness, and even the solid space was torn apart under the dragon claw. Qian Mochen's expression became serious, and he issued a command: condense. Flames as viscous as magma spread from his hands, condensing into a 100-meter-long sword. He poured all his spirit power into the sword body, and swung the sword to meet the giant dragon claw that blocked the sunlight. The instant the fire sword collided with the dragon claw, the flames on the sword body wound along the point of contact, instead using the darkness of the dragon claw as firewood, burning brighter and brighter, bit by bit gnawing away and dissolving the black mist on the claw. Shatter for me. Dai Tian could not believe that a human titled Douluo could contend with him. He shouted loudly and closed his dragon claw, attempting to crush the flame sword within his grasp. Qian Mochen's expression was indifferent. He actually voluntarily released the flame sword, stepped forward, clenched his palm and punched toward Dai Tian's head, choosing to abandon his weapon and engage in close-quarters combat with Dai Tian. Human, you're courting death. In Dai Tian's eyes, Qian Mochen's actions were a complete provocation. Crushing the flame sword, which had no source of power, with one claw, Dai Tian's body surged to 3,000 meters, actively meeting Qian Mochen's fist. In just a few seconds, the man and the dragon had exchanged hundreds of blows. Qian Mochen punched Dai Tian on the head, then sidestepped, letting several streaks of cold light graze past him. Qian Mochen raised his hand and smashed it down. At the base of the dragon claw, which was much more fragile than Dai Tian's body, a crisp cracking sound rang out. Dai Tian's expression changed. He wanted to withdraw the darkness and use the domain to consume Qian Mochen's strength. Before he could run far, an arm suddenly reached out from the darkness, grabbed Dai Tian's dragon tail and gave a fierce tug, actually pulling Dai Tian back. Want to run? Wait until I've had enough fighting first. Qian Mochen pressed his advantage, targeting the fragile parts of Dai Tian's body, and angry dragon roars rang out incessantly. When Dai Tian and the enemy entered his dark domain, Bai Jai opened her perception and sensed an interesting human on the shore, whose contained vitality was almost the same as her own. Bai Jai glanced at the unfluctuating domain, believing that Dai Tian could definitely take down the intruder. She flashed and appeared on the water surface, quickly locking onto the blue-haired woman hiding by the ancient tree. Bai Jai took a step and appeared beside Ah Yin. Her eyes sized up the anxious Ah Yin and a soft laugh escaped her lips. Little girl, you and the fellow who just broke into the life lake came together, didn't you? Chapter 48. Ah Yin being teased. Ah Yin forced a smile. When Bai Jai appeared before her, her sixth sense was ringing alarm bells like crazy, telling her just how dangerous this seemingly gentle woman really was. Several vines of the blue-silver emperor quietly emerged from the ground, instantly binding Bai Jai's legs tightly. Ah Yin dared not make another move and immediately turned to run. Heh, so I misjudged. To think it's 100,000-year blue-silver emperor in human form. Bai Jai glanced at the blue-silver emperor on her legs and immediately guessed Ah Yin's identity. Across the entire Douluo Continent, there could only be one blue-silver emperor. As long as the previous emperor was not dead, no matter how high the cultivation of other blue-silver kings was, they could not advance any further. Only a 100,000-year blue-silver emperor would possess such abundant vitality. A pair of wings quietly appeared behind Bai Jai. With a gentle flap, she instantly appeared 1,000 meters away. In the time it took to catch a breath, Bai Jai returned, carrying the fleeing Ah Yin by her collar. Big sister, if I told you I was forcibly brought here by someone, would you believe me? Little girl, you're not being good, actually sneaking a human here. Bai Jai's slender fingers tapped on the tip of Ah Yin's nose, wandering across her face, seemingly considering where to take a bite later. The little girl is so pretty, big sister can't bear to eat you in one bite. Ah Yin scoffed internally. She already wanted to curse that unreliable Qian Xunji to death, the deceitful jerk, actually leaving me here alone while he ran off to fight other spirit beasts. In the center of the Stardew Great Forest, a beautiful woman appeared. Ah Yin didn't believe for a second that she was human, hearing Bai Jai talk about eating her. Ah Yin screamed internally, it's over, Qian Mochen, I'm going to be killed by your schemes. Help, is there anyone who can save me? Bai Jai watched with a smile, having no intention of stopping her. She lifted Ah Yin's chin with her fingertip and kindly reminded her, little sister, go ahead and scream. Even if you scream until your throat breaks, no one would dare come here. However, the next second, the smile on Bai Jai's face suddenly froze. Bai Jai, my maid can only be bullied by me alone. Me some face and let her go. Voice suddenly appeared by Bai Jai's ear. She turned around to see Qian Mochen standing just a step behind her. A trace of surprise and astonishment flashed in her eyes, and her figure retreated several hundred meters instantly. You, how did you get out? Qian Mochen released the seal on Yin and asked with his eyes, "Are you okay?" Yin nodded. The woman named Baijai had only teased her a few times. Qian Mochen then spoke, answering Baijai's question. "Naturally, I came out after beating Dai Tian up. Oh right, I had a very pleasant chat with Dai Tian just now. By now he should have gone to invite the person I want to see." "Who exactly are you?" Baijai looked at Qian Mochen with vigilance, searching her distant memories for the face before her. To be able to call out their names and know the location of their lord, could he be a lackey of those gods from the god realm? Thinking of this, Baijai's gaze became dangerous. Qian Mochen guessed what Baijai was thinking and quickly warned, "I am not a lackey of those so-called gods from the god realm. Don't do anything reckless, otherwise when your lord sees that her subordinates have all been beaten by me and gets angry, won't I have to beat you all up again?" Just as Baijai was about to speak, the life lake behind her parted. An aura engraved in her body's instincts appeared. Baijai knelt directly on the ground, looking excitedly at the silver-white long-haired woman walking at the front. Yuina's violet-slit pupils glanced at Baijai. She gave a soft hum and stopped only when she reached Qian Machen's side. Behind Qian Mochen, Yin, feeling Yuina's aura, felt her legs go weak, her pupils constricted, and even her speech became stuttered. "You." Yin's fingers trembled as she tugged at Qian Machen's sleeve, wanting to ask for the truth. Qian Machen's voice rang in her ear. "That's right, the one I came to see is your lord, the co-ruler of all spirit beasts, the Silver Dragon King." Seeing Yin looking terrified, Qian Mochen was somewhat dissatisfied. "You are my maid now. Being this scared, wouldn't that make me lose face?" Qian Mochen cast an aura onto Yin, isolating Yuina's aura. Without that terrifying aura, Yin's emotions stabilized, but she still didn't have the courage to look directly at the lord opposite her. Quietly hiding behind Qian Mochen, silently chanting in her heart, "The lord can't see me, can't see me." Yuina's gaze remained fixed on Qian Mochen. Sensing the trace of sacred aura on him, her cold and distant face furrowed slightly. "You carry the aura of an unfamiliar god on you," Qian Mochen nodded. "My ancestor was the angel god who ascended from the Douluo Continent 1,000 years ago. You probably haven't heard of it." "Yuina, one of the purposes of my visit this time is to discuss how to counterattack the god realm. Just by the fact that with my level 96 cultivation I suppressed several of your great fierce beasts. Besides, I am a human, level 100 is not a problem for me at all." Yuina cast a glance at Dai Tian and the others behind her, only then noticing that apart from Baijai, all her other subordinates were bruised and swollen. "The injuries on your faces, were they all caused by him alone?" Dai Tian, Xingjun and the other beasts nodded unwillingly. Although they didn't want to admit it, it was indeed Qian Mochen who beat them all up by himself. "Lord, it's not that we went easy on him, it's just that this person's spirit ring configuration is too outrageous. His lowest spirit ring is 10,000 years. Qian Mochen revealed his 9 spirit rings. The terrifying spirit ring configuration of black, 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 red, red, red. Even Yuina was surprised to see it. The iron law of the Douluo Continent was actually broken by this person. Moreover, Qian Mochen's strength was indeed only level 96. If he were to inherit the angel god position and reach level 100, then if he and she joined forces, they might just be able to wipe out those hypocrites in the god realm. The angel god that Qian Mochen mentioned ascended to the god realm only 1,000 years ago, so there was no grievance between him and her spirit beast clan. "I can join forces with you." Considering Qian Mochen's value, Yuina nodded slightly after thinking. "However, I need you to lend me that blue-silver emperor by your side." "What do you want her for?" Qian Mochen stepped forward, shielding Yin behind him. "Environment of the life lake is best suited for her cultivation. If she becomes a limit Douluo, she can contribute when we attack the god realm in the future." "That is possible." Qian Mochen looked past Yuina, eyeing Dai Tian and the other fierce beasts behind her. "Then let's sign a contract." Yuina did not refuse. Qian Mochen immediately exchanged a contract from the system store, wrote down the terms, and handed it to Yuina. Chapter 49. "Oh no, the lord has been kidnapped." Yuina picked up the contract and scrutinized its contents, her beautiful willow leaf eyebrows furrowing slightly. "Why should I lend you so many heaven and earth treasures? It's not that, it's just that my strength is too weak right now. If I have heaven and earth treasures to cultivate, I'll be much faster, and that way I can join you in taking revenge on the god realm sooner," Qian Mochen explained with a straight face. "Besides, you and Dai Tian and the others fought the god king of the god realm back then, and the injuries you sustained haven't fully healed yet, have they? When the real fight starts, I'll be the main force." "The main force's combat power needs to be the strongest, doesn't it? As allies, I won't take advantage of you. Look." Qian Mochen pointed his finger at the last clause. "I will provide you with the whereabouts of a Tianmeng ice silkworm with 1,000,000 years of cultivation. With it, your injuries should recover very quickly." 1,000,000 years of cultivation Tianmeng ice silkworm. These words combined caused even the knowledgeable Yuina's breathing to quicken involuntarily. If it weren't for the rule set by those gods on the Douluo continent that spirit beasts cannot become gods, this million-year-old Tianmeng ice silkworm would have already ascended to godhood. A Tianmeng ice silkworm with such cultivation could even eradicate the injuries caused by the gods on her body. Where is this Tianmeng ice silkworm? Once the contract is signed, I will tell you. Qian Mochen introduced the contract produced by the system. This contract contains the power of rules, ensuring that both parties who sign it act according to the contract. If anyone goes back on their word, the backlash from the contract will severely injure them. Gu Yuna sensed the seemingly ordinary contract in her hand, but her mental force could not penetrate it. The mental force she submerged into it felt like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace. Such a contract was indeed more reliable than a verbal promise. Gu Yuina continued to examine the other clauses, which were all about asking for some trinkets from the vicious beasts under her command. Compared to that million-year-old Tianmeng ice silkworm, it was nothing at all. Gu Yuina picked up a pen and wrote her name directly. The next second, the contract in her hand turned into a ball of light, split into two, and merged into her and Qian Mochen's minds. Gu Yuina sensed the ball of light in her mind slightly. The meaning conveyed within was the same as what Qian Mochen had said. The contract was both a restriction and a guarantee for both parties who signed it. If either party breached the contract, the rules formed by the contract would directly punish them. When will you take me to catch that Tianmeng ice silkworm? No rush, where are the medicinal herbs I wanted? The contract clearly states that I must receive the medicinal herbs first before I take you there. We need to be clear about the order of operations. Gu Yuina was silent for a moment. She reviewed the contract again, a faint sense of speechlessness rising in her heart. She hadn't expected this human to be such a stickler for details. If Qian Mochen knew Gu Yuina's thoughts, he would definitely tell this naive silver dragon king that she was lucky to have met him, someone who never cheats his customers. If it had been some other black-hearted transmigrator, they would have written 81 loopholes into the contract. By then it wouldn't just be some medicinal herbs, even Gu Yuina's body and soul could be devoured completely. Baijai, take him to see your herb garden and give him whatever he needs. Although Baijai was puzzled, the Lord's command was everything to her. Qian Mochen gave Yin a reassuring look and followed Baijai. Lord, your injuries have not yet healed. Why don't I make the trip with that human instead? Dai Tian looked at Gu Yuina with trepidation. No need. Once Qian Mochen's figure disappeared, Gu Yuina's gaze fell on Yin. Are you the blue-silver emperor of this generation? Yes, Lord. Yin looked at Gu Yuina with some trepidation. After a few seconds of silence, Gu Yuina asked, how much do you know about that human? Lord, I've only just met him not long ago. I had only just transformed into human form when he caught me. Tilda, whenever Qian Mochen was mentioned, Yin would get angry. It seemed that the Lord had also been tricked by Qian Mochen. Perhaps if she heard about her miserable experience, she would avenge her, for example, sealing Qian Mochen's strength so she could beat him up. Through Yin's account, Gu Yuina gained some understanding of Qian Mochen. This person seemed thick-skinned and black-hearted with absolutely no demeanor of a strong expert. A titled Douluo actually pretended to be seriously injured to deceive Yin, a naive blue-silver emperor who had just stepped into the human world. And yet this person's status was not low. He was the Saint of Spirit Hall, the most powerful force in the human world. Qian Mochen had a large force under his command. When they attacked the God realm in the future, they might even have some extra help. While Gu Yuina was thinking, Qian Mochen and Baijai walked back. Baijai's expression was ugly, and she walked quickly in front, seemingly afraid of getting even a trace of the human behind her on herself. Back, then let's go. Gu Yuina sensed Qian Mochen's aura and urged him to set off immediately. Wait, I haven't finished collecting my medicinal herbs yet. Qian Mochen walked up to Dai Tian with a smile. Brother Dai Tian, I heard that with dragon saliva, the higher the cultivation, the stronger the medicinal properties. Give me some, will you? I don't want much, just this bowl, just fill it up. Dai Tian looked at the bowl on the ground that Qian Mochen was talking about, and countless complaints welled up in his heart, making him want to grab Qian Mochen by the head and interrogate him. This is what you call a bowl? This bowl could fit 10 of you. Dai Tian was silent, his fists clenched. The next second, Gu Yuina's gaze fell upon him, his body began to tremble, and he closed his eyes, struggling to spit out one word. He was here to fleece them. Qian Mochen didn't let the other vicious beasts off, and even the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape who were guarding the gate were fleeced by Qian Mochen. Are you done? Gu Yuina spoke again. Done? Qian Mochen sighed in his heart. It was a pity he didn't have the guts to fleece the biggest wool source right now. Thinking of this, he stole a glance at Gu Yuina out of the corner of his eye. Dai Tian's dragon saliva was comparable to a 10,000-year-old Ganoderma. So wouldn't one mouthful of Gu Yuina, this God King level Silver Dragon King, send him straight to immortality? Dai Tian, before I return, the spirit beasts will still be managed by you. If there are any who disobey, kill them directly, Lord. After giving instructions, Gu Yuina and Qian Mochen boarded a howling golden-winged eagle that was crouching on the ground. With a cry from the howling golden-winged eagle, they quickly turned into a black dot on the horizon. Go back. Everyone guard your respective posts. Dai Tian looked coldly at the several vicious beasts in front of him and gave Xingjun a warning look. If it hadn't been for Xingjun falling asleep today, how could someone have disturbed the Lord's slumber? If it weren't for the fact that the Lord didn't care, Dai Tian would have had the urge to tear Xingjun apart alive. The vicious beasts quickly left, leaving only Yin standing awkwardly on the shore. Dai Tian glanced at Yin, thought of the Lord's plans, and offered a rare piece of kind advice. Blue Silver Emperor, from today on you will cultivate here. The life aura in this area is the most concentrated. Those two gate-guarding beasts will be responsible for your safety. Thank you for the reminder, Lord Dai Tian. Chapter 50. The extreme north welcomes its true master. You're flying too fast, Brother Eagle. Qian Mochen looked at the pastry he had just taken out, which had been blown away by the incoming wind pressure before he could even take a bite, and kicked Brother Eagle's back into satisfaction. The howling golden-winged eagle was dissatisfied, but since the human had the Lord sitting right there, it had no choice but to unwillingly wrap itself in spirit power, isolating the raging wind outside a few meters away from its body. Qian Mochen felt the wind vanish completely and nodded with satisfaction, then took out a new pastry and handed one to the silent Gu Yuina beside him. We still have at least a day and a night of flying before we reach our destination. Want to eat something? No. Our cultivation is already sufficient to completely forego food. These things are useless to our cultivation. Qian Mochen sized up Gu Yuina, staring straight into her eyes, and discovered that she completely lacked the shyness a woman should have. Sensing his gaze, she looked over with a hint of confusion. If you remain so detached from the mortal world, how can you defeat those gods? Qian Mochen began his spiel. Do you know why the dragon god was defeated in the god realm before? Gu Yuina clenched her fists. Because that group of despicable gods ambushed our spirit beasts. Qian Mochen held up a finger and shook it. That only proves that you spirit beasts have too low a sense of vigilance. Since both sides have long been enemies, then ambushes or even poisoning, and attacking the strongest enemy first are all normal tactics. Gu Yuina fell into deep thought. Qian Mochen's words seemed to make sense. The situation between the spirit beasts and those gods was inherently a life-and-death struggle. When the War of Gods first broke out, if not for the massive commotion caused by the dragon god, the other dragon kings would never have discovered that those gods had united to besiege the spirit beasts. To defeat the enemy, you must understand them in every aspect. Only then can you keep up with the enemy's way of thinking. Here, try this pastry. This is the first step in your understanding of those gods. Gu Yuina looked at the pastry before her, thought for a moment, then took it and placed it in her mouth, biting down gently. A faint fragrance spread through her mouth and a hint of sweetness diffused across her tongue. How does it taste? Do you like it? Gu Yuina nodded slightly. It's acceptable. Be recognized by the Silver Dragon King. The craftsmanship of that century-old pastry shop is truly impressive. It's almost noon. I'll make a meal. Do you usually prefer to eat lighter food or something with a stronger flavor? Gu Yuina thought for a moment, then slowly shook her head. In her entire life, she had never eaten food from the human world. All right, then I'll make you a bit of everything. Through human food, one can understand those gods, Gu Yuina asked skeptically. Of course, Qian Mochen looked at her with a sincere gaze and continued. Gods are also people. Their personalities and habits can all be analyzed through these trivial details. For example, a person who doesn't even enjoy eating must be living an unhappy life. If it's a god, he must be spending the whole day plotting some scheme or conspiracy. Another thing. Gu Yuina nodded as if she understood, until a fragrance she had never smelled before wafted over, snapping her out of her thoughts. Gu Yuina looked up and saw that Qian Mochen had set up a pot at some point. The aroma was wafting from the bubbling pot. Have you figured it out? Then try this curry beef. This dish has my special seasoning added to it, paired with rice. It's so delicious it'll make your tongue fall off. Gu Yuina looked at the bowl of rice covered in sauce that had suddenly appeared in her hand, then looked down at her feet. Him starting a fire and cooking on the back of the howling golden-winged eagle. Was that not inappropriate? Howling golden-winged eagle. Woo-woo, howling golden-winged eagle. Master, you finally remembered Little Eagle. Little Eagle hates fire the most, but this human relying on your presence threatened Little Eagle directly. Little Eagle had no choice. Howling golden-winged eagle. Little Eagle's heart is bitter. Once Gu Yuina took a bite, she suddenly felt that being able to eat something hot was actually quite nice, and the human who could make such delicious food was actually a titled Douluo with top-tier strength. Mochen, do you not cultivate in your daily life? How is that possible? Then how do you have time to study culinary arts? Of course it's because I'm a genius. Qian Mochen pointed at himself with smug satisfaction. Gu Yuina, we are now partners fighting against the god realm together. I feel that calling each other by our full names is a bit distant and doesn't befit our status as comrades in arms. We are in a relationship where we can entrust our backs to each other and live or die together. From now on, just call me by my given name without the surname, Mochen. Gu Yuina's crisp voice rang out with a hint of confusion in her eyes. Was there any difference between this and adding the surname? Hey, that's it. Qian Mochen gave a thumbs up and struck while the iron was hot, saying, from now on I'll call you Nana. Gu Yuina nodded indifferently. Although she appeared to have been born many years earlier than Qian Mochen, she had spent almost all those years sleeping and healing. Dai Tian and other fierce beasts were hindered by their status and dared not explain to the Lord just how black-hearted humans could be. How could she at this moment know of Qian Mochen's little schemes? Years later when she realized it, Gu Yuina had already become someone's wife and the rice was already cooked. After eating, Qian Mochen processed the 10,000-year medicinal herbs he had plucked, brought out his alchemy furnace and began refining pills. To prevent Brother Eagle beneath him from getting agitated, he thoughtfully used spirit power to insulate the temperature of the alchemy furnace. Late at night, under the Lord's request, Brother Eagle continued to fly towards the extreme north. For Brother Eagle with 100,000-year cultivation, flying for a day and a night was completely fine. Just as it was focused on flying, a voice that suddenly drifted from its back made it almost forget to flap its wings. "Nana, I've set up the tent. Let's go inside and rest together. My tent is very large, there's no problem even if 5 people rest inside." Gu Yuina glanced at the tent. It was indeed spacious and it was much more comfortable inside than on the eagle's back. The Lord and that human went into the same tent together. The howling golden-winged eagle would occasionally fly out of the Stardew Great Forest to look at the human towns outside. The howling golden-winged eagle was an expert when it came to the twists and turns between human men and women. For a human man and woman to enter the same tent to sleep meant their feelings had already sublimated and they were inseparable. Since the Lord was actually willing to enter that human's tent, didn't that mean that in the future they spirit beasts might welcome their little master? The howling golden-winged eagle suppressed its surprise, tried its best to fly as steadily as possible, and thoughtfully set up a soundproof barrier around the tent. As the self-proclaimed wise man among the spirit beasts, it would not disturb the Lord's mood at such a critical moment. Once it returned to the Stardew Great Forest, it would definitely gossip to Dai Tian and the other lords about the progress of the relationship between the Lord and that human. In the future, when this human arrived at the Stardew Great Forest, he could walk sideways without fear. Qian Mochen did not know to what extent Brother Eagle was fantasizing outside. He was currently placing a set of bedding in the middle of the tent, drawing a line of demarcation.